Hi all you wonderful people and welcome to the Surface Interval in association with Mpora. Now, nobody wants to be bad at a thing, right? So hopefully you won't see yourself in any of the things that I cover today because I'm going to be talking about what can make you a bad scuba diver. Or at least maybe you'll be able to better yourself after this if you do see something on here that you end up doing. But let's take a look at what can make you a bad scuba diver. First thing that can make bad scuba divers is bad scuba instructors. If I taught all of my students that you had to, stretch your hoses before every single dive, then they'd probably do it, to be honest, right up until someone saw them doing it and then asked what the heck they were doing. But when you're just starting out, you don't know any better, and when your instructor tells you to do something, you kind of just do it because they're your instructor. Instructors and other teaching staff are incredibly influential to students. If your student sees you touching coral and kind of dragging their regulators around on the floor, then they're going to think that's okay and they copy you. There are bad instructors around that either give you bad or outdated advice, skip over things that they don't deem essential or worth teaching, even though it is in the curriculum and they should, or they don't hold students to required standards. They just kind of, yeah, that's good enough. Very few of these are ever done intentionally to specifically hurt students or make people become bad scuba divers, but skipping over things and not explaining why you're doing things can make a bad scuba diver who doesn't know any better. They're just doing what they're taught, and unless someone pulls them up on it, they're just going to continue to do it. Now, I've failed my fair share of students because they couldn't complete the course to my standards, but there are some instructors that are just happy to just sign anything off as long as they just pay their bills, but that only makes a bad scuba diver who might hurt themselves down the line. Scuba diving is all about pushing your limits. I mean, we are literally going somewhere that you can't breathe, going somewhere beyond your natural limits, but it naturally appeals to the more adventurous spirits among us, so we like to push those limits. The downside to that is you do need to curb your enthusiasm and recognize those limits and not go beyond them. A bad scuba diver will just breeze past their maximum depth or decided dive time, but they are set for a reason. Depths are set for a specific reason, bottom times as well. If you're on a dive, if you're on a boat and you exceed your bottom time because, well, you've still got gas in your tank, so I can stay down a bit longer, right? Well, boat crew are now going to start search and recovery procedures because there's a chance that you've got into trouble and time is of the essence. They're not just going to wait around. Most divers going a little bit too far don't think it's too much of a big deal, but you're now putting other divers at risk to go looking for you. Rescue divers have lost their own lives searching for divers that have gone into caves and got lost or dived too deep. Do your best to stay within your limits, and if you do go a little bit deeper or stay down a little bit too long, or if you exit with less than 50 bar, then the best thing that you can do is at least be honest and write down the correct information down in the dive log. Correct information is more important than hiding your little mistake. But most importantly, diving deeper than your training, that can void your insurance, so don't do that. Diving is a social hobby and you should really be keeping everybody else clued up on exactly where you are and where you're going to be and at what time. During the dive and after the dive, if you just kind of slink away without telling people that you're going, that raises alarm bells. I've known divers to literally get out of the water after a dive and just slink away in a car without saying goodbye to anybody. Luckily, we did see them literally driving away because otherwise they could still be in the water for all we know, and now search and rescue has to begin, looking for a diver that isn't even in the water, literally searching for a needle in a haystack that doesn't even have any needles in it. During the dive, too many divers are a bit too loose with their buddy contact as well. Now, I am all for independent divers who can dive by themselves, but too many divers I see just swimming just too far away from their buddy, and they are not qualified or they're not carrying the correct diving equipment to dive solo. In my experience, Regulators rarely fail just after you've taken a nice big breath in, so you've got plenty of time. You need to be able to be close enough to your buddy so that if you or they had to secure air on empty lungs, you could swim that distance. Do your best to let everybody know where you're going at all times, how long you're going to be there, and when to start raising alarms if you don't call in, basically. If you're leaving for whatever reason, just tell someone, or at least leave some kind of note so that people will find it and people know that, okay, they're out of the water, they're perfectly safe, and they've left. Now, you didn't think we'd make it all the way through an episode talking about bad divers without me mentioning Flappy snag hazards, did you? Hashtag Flappy snag hazards. So, divers who are just laden with just gear all over them, dangling all over the place. Bad divers let their gear dangle away from them, which can damage their gear, the reef, or get themselves caught in something underwater. Do your best to keep everything nice and streamlined, close to your body. If it's inside of a pocket, it can't get caught on anything, and it's going to be nice and streamlined so you're saving energy. If you can't maintain your buoyancy or trim yet, then stay well away from the bottom and the reef as well, and always be considerate of where all of your gear is, including your fins. Bad divers will just attach everything and the kitchen sink onto themselves at the beginning of the dive, and they're just laden with all this gear that they're not even going to use. And whilst yes, you should bring some spares with you, like a backup mask, you should only really bring what you need for that dive. All of those extra bits and bobs are just something else to get caught on or something for you to drop. So fewer long, springy lanyards, and try and keep things close to your chest, or at least close to your body. On a perfect dive, the only thing that you should touch is the dive boat, just before you make a splash in the water and right before you get out. Bad divers just bump into things because they don't really know where their limbs are going, or they don't notice the current gently pushing them into something. I was swimming behind a diver once on the Thistlegorm, ready to exit through a hatch, and I could see the current just whipping past because of the particles in the water. The diver in front of me obviously didn't, because they just gently stuck their head out and then their shoulders, and then of course the current hit their top half of the body and it just pushed them into the doorway. A good diver would have swam out as quickly as possible to get out and away from the hatch before that current hit them. So try and always be aware of your surroundings. Picking up treasures and just generally touching things is a bad idea whilst diving. Things are either surprisingly delicate underwater and touching them could seriously damage them, or things are very, very dangerous underwater. That pretty shell, that could be a cone shell, deadly poison. That oddly shaped rock over there, that's a stonefish, deadly poison. As a general rule of thumb, don't touch it. Whatever it is, just don't touch it. So what makes someone a bad scuba diver in your eyes? Is it the all the gear and no idea, or somebody who swaps dive computers to avoid surface interval because they skipped a stop on the last dive? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, everybody. Don't forget to check out our partner charity, 2 Minute Beach Clean. Just go to beachclean.net or download the app to see how you can help out. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.